Today I'm going to take a look at the AirPods Pro 2 and the Bose Quietcomfort Earbuds 2 as a possible new generation of workshop ear protection.
Just going to pause the video here for a second and say stay tuned to the very end because unfortunately there's a plot twist coming.
When I saw these announced, I got pretty excited because they have this adaptive transparency feature, and the literature and the kind of demos in that showed somebody standing next to like somebody using a jackhammer. What adaptive transparency does is when you're in transparency mode, you can hear everything going on around you, but if there's a loud noise, it'll dampen down the loud noise to an acceptable level so that it doesn't damage your hearing. It's like digital ear protection inside AirPods. The Bose Quietcomforts were announced, I think shortly after, I can't remember, but they also have the same feature. And so I thought, let me buy both pairs, test them out and see what they're like to actually use them in the workshop as ear protection. A couple of disclaimers. I've got an Android phone. I've loved Bose for years. I've got lots of Bose headphones, and so I was slightly biased towards these, but I heard the transparency mode in the AirPods is better, and it was also them that seemed to launch this feature, so I thought it's definitely worthwhile getting a pair of these to compare how they are. Some general stats, facts about the pair of them. As you can see, the Apple case is a lot smaller, and that's pretty handy. It's got wireless charging, it's got a lanyard hook, it's got a speaker to help you find it. The Apple Find My functionality is fantastic, and so all around I think you've got better functionality here. I've also noticed that the case is a lot better. It's a lot sturdier. There's a big aluminium hinge, whereas the Bose case feels a little bit wobbly, and it feels like this could break if you drop it, unfortunately. For me though, because I'm Android, my phone, my laptop has USB-C. These having USB-C, fantastic. I don't have Lightning. It would just be a bit of a pain to have something with Lightning. Something that's maybe not that important, but I noticed, is that the Apple AirPods connect to your phone as soon as you open the case, whereas the Bose ones connect when you take them out of the case. The way that you control them is pretty similar on both. They've both got touch sensitive areas, so you put them in your ears, and the Bose has got this touch sensitive, like the whole front face is touch sensitive. The Apple ones, it's the stem that's touch sensitive, so the bit going down here, and you have to use 2 fingers to do it. I find the Apple ones a little bit easier to use for 2 reasons. One, because the Bose, sometimes it's a little bit hard to find it exactly on my ear, so I can go tapping it and I can miss the area that I'm meant to touch, or I can hit it on the side. There's also no audio feedback when you tap. So sometimes I tap it, nothing happens. I don't know if I've tapped it or not, but actually it's just waiting and it's gonna play in a second and it just hasn't done it yet. And then I hit it again and then it pauses and I get stuck in this little loop. Whereas the AirPods, there's a little click in your ear when you tap them, and I find that really useful to let me know that I've definitely tapped it or the volume's definitely gone up because I can hear it. One other thing that I don't like about the controls on these is that when you tap them, the noise just gets kind of reverberated or amplified right into your ear because it's like you're tapping on a drum on the outside of your ear. Now these ones are quite different because you're tapping the stem, and so it's not going directly into your ear. It's a small point, but it just makes wearing them a little bit less comfortable than other ones. You get a lot more functionality with the AirPods if you have an Apple phone, if you've got an iPhone. There's loads of settings and controls and stuff you can do in there. The Bose ones have a whole bunch of settings you can control with the app. Bottom line, they do everything I need them to do. You can control a long press on each side to do different things, and so I do that, but they play, pause, volume, etc. General sound quality, I'm not an audiophile and I've not edited with the equalizer settings, but overall, just the stuff that I listen to, I find the Bose give you a fuller sound than the AirPods. I find that it just feels a bit bigger, slightly richer sound. These sound good, they do sound great, and if you're on Apple, definitely worth considering, but for me, the Bose sound better. Fit and finish. So the Bose feel very secure in my ear. The design of them, with this silicone bands around the outside, they feel very comfortable and very secure. I have no problem wearing these all day. The AirPods, they do feel comfortable, they're not uncomfortable, but because they're kind of that hard plastic, they're just a little bit less comfortable. They're only held into your ear with the silicone tip at the end, and so sometimes I worry that they kind of hang out. I also find that my helmet strap catches on them a little bit, and in general, they just feel a little bit less secure to me than the Bose. So I would say the Bose fit and feel better in my ears, and they sound better. The battery life is pretty good. I think it's rated at like 6 hours, something like that. So for me in the workshop, that's fine. If I stop for lunch for 20 minutes, half an hour, I put them back in the case, they'll get another bit of charge and it should be okay. Transparency mode. So both of these headphones have transparency mode, and I love it. I've got an old pair of Jabra headphones that have got transparency mode and it's terrible, so I never use it. But I quite like the idea of just having headphones in all the time, but being able to hear what's going on around me. And that if I want to listen to something, I can just put it on and it doesn't interfere. I also like the idea of transparency mode for cycling, but in reality, it just doesn't work very well. There's too much wind noise, particularly on the Bose. The Bose have got loads of wind noise when you're cycling, even just when you're out walking about, and there's no setting to change that. So the noise cancellation setting goes from full noise cancellation to full transparency mode. There's no way to switch it off. And for wind noise, it would be really great if you could switch that off. The Apple ones don't. They're a lot better at managing wind noise, but they both suffer from the same thing. You know, sound is essentially air waves. And so when you've got air blowing in them, it just tricks them a little bit and they start jumping into adaptive transparency mode and they start dimming out the noise around you. And that's not what you want when you're cycling. When you're cycling, you want to be able to hear what's going on around you. The Bose also, when you're in transparency mode, they have a very quiet, like white noise, humming, hissing noise in the background. And that's a bit annoying. You don't notice it so much if you're walking around the workshop, but if you're sitting at home in a quiet room, you can just hear them all the time. The Apple are definitely next level. Their transparency mode, it's almost like you're not wearing headphones at all. You know, you don't hear anything at all when you're not meant to, but then you can hear totally normally when you've got them in. Adaptive transparency mode, they actually both handle this differently. And for a while I thought that the AirPods weren't working properly because they didn't seem to be dimming the noise. It turns out that only works with an iPhone, which is a bit of a downer for me. But anyway, I borrowed an iPhone and tested it out, and I really struggled to get it working. It will only dim sounds above 80 decibels, and 80 decibels is already quite loud. So for example, when I've got my dust collector and my table saw on, that's about 79 decibels. So when I turn on adaptive transparency, it just takes a slight edge off that. It's barely noticeable. Whereas if I turn noise cancellation off, well then they just act like earplugs and the sound goes a lot quieter. And if I put noise cancellation on, then it also mutes out the sound and it goes even quieter. So transparency mode is the loudest, adaptive transparency is ever so slightly less, and then the other two are much quieter. What I got really excited about this adaptive transparency mode that Apple's invented, actually in practice for me in the workshop is not very good because the sounds in my workshop are not loud enough to trigger that adaptive transparency, or the adaptive transparency mode is not reducing the sound enough. The Bose, on the other hand, work quite differently. The way that they work is as soon as it detects a loud noise, and I think I'm going to put a number and say like 50, 60 decibels, something like that. Like I can activate it sometimes just by talking loudly or by clapping. Then after like half a second, they switch into noise cancellation, full noise cancellation. And that's quite different. And so it means that if I switch a machine on, they go from being in transparency mode to being in complete noise cancellation mode. And in the workshop, that's wonderful. That's exactly what you want, because I don't want it to take the edge off the loud machine. I just want it to cut out the loud machine as much as possible. And especially if I'm listening to something, I want to be able to hear what I'm listening to. So I want it to be drowning out the sound around me so that I can hear the thing that's coming through the headphones. It means also that I can walk about in the workshop, I can hear if someone comes in, I can have conversations with people, and as soon as I switch a machine on, it cuts the noise of the machine. As soon as I switch the machine off, I'm back to hearing everything going on around me. It's like having automatic ear protection. Now, I've tested them with different machines around the workshop, and I've also tested them against my heavy-duty ear protectors. There's not a whole lot of difference. Sometimes, like if I'm on the table saw, I actually can't tell the difference audibly between having the Bose in and having my ear protectors on. It's that good. Sometimes what I notice with the Bose, because it's doing it dynamically and it's trying to process the noise as it hears it, sometimes there's some slight glitches. So maybe it's, dampening the noise, and then the noise changes a little bit and there's a bit of a blip, but it's never uncomfortable and it never feels like they're going to a level that is too loud. For me, it just removes the possibility that I might just run the machine without ear protection because I can't be bothered going to get them. If I've got them in my ears, they're going to work automatically all the time. I have had a couple of issues with these where sometimes I take them out of the case and I put them in and they don't connect to my phone immediately, and I have to turn Bluetooth on and off on my phone and then they still don't connect, and then I put them back in the case and take them out. They seem to be a little less reliable. The AirPods seem to be super reliable in that sense. They just work. And I get that impression that that's kind of the Apple way, stuff just works. I've actually had two pairs of these because the first pair, there was something going on in my phone where every time I opened Audible, it was disconnecting the headphones. And so the headphones were disconnecting, reconnecting constantly. Tried, switching Bluetooth on and off, and so I just hard reset them. You hold the button in the back for like 30 seconds and they hard reset. And after I did that, I could no longer connect them to my phone. It's like that set of headphones seemed to get bricked. Every time I opened the case, this orange light was on saying that they're not fully charged, that they're partially charged. And it doesn't matter how long I leave them in the case or how long I have the case plugged in for, they would always say that. And every time I put them in my ears, they were totally dead. I tried the other set of headphones in this case, got the same thing. So it's almost like earbuds themselves somehow got bricked. Bose support though, pretty good. I think it's almost like 24/7 live chat, and they replaced them super quickly. They were like, yeah, no problem at all. We'll send you a new pair. Overall, I do really enjoy these. I quite often find myself wearing them around the house. I can hear the kids in the background if I need to. I can hear stuff going on. I can listen to podcasts. I can listen to music at the same time. If there's a loud noise, like even if I'm in the house and I do the hoovering or I do something like that, they cut that noise out. In the workshop, these are also a game changer. I'd been thinking about getting a pair of these, smart Bluetooth ear defenders, and for me, these do that and more. I can wear them on the way into work. I can wear them in the workshop. I can wear them when I go home again. One set of headphones that for me do everything. So yeah, strong recommendation. If you're looking for ear protection in the workshop, I'd definitely consider something like this. Wait a minute. If I could stop the video there, fantastic. That would be great. But it's taken me a while to make this video and to put all the pieces together and do the post-production. And I've been using these headphones for that time, and unfortunately, they're really unreliable. It's so frustrating because they could be fantastic, but what I find is that maybe 60% of the time it works, and 30 to 40% of the time, the automatic noise cancellation just doesn't switch on. So I could be on the table saw, I switch the table saw on, and I can just still hear it really loud. Sometimes if I clap, then that activates it. Sometimes I have to clap 2 or 3 times, but there's also like a second's delay. So sometimes it dampens out my claps, but then doesn't come on, and then maybe a second or 2 later it does come on. And if you work in a workshop, you know how off-putting that is. If you're about to make a cut, you're using a tool that's possibly dangerous, and you're like trying to get your noise cancellation on your headphones, it's so annoying. Yeah, I'm not sure what to say. I don't think it's an issue with this specific pair. Like, I don't think it's anything to do with my phone, because I guess this is all happening in the earbuds. This is the processing of the earbuds that control this functionality. And so, yeah, it's really annoying. What should you do? I don't know. If you've got an iPhone, AirPods are maybe not a bad shout. You can get these and you can wear them on noise cancellation mode all the time. I've set it that I push and hold the left one to change modes. I've actually got 3 modes, which is a bit annoying. Whereas if you just have 2, noise cancellation and aware, then you're just switching between those 2. And so, push and hold here for a couple of seconds is not the end of the world, but it's definitely not as nice as it just coming on automatically. And the problem if you're listening to something and it doesn't come on automatically is that you don't hear what's happening in your ear because the noise of the machines around you overpowers it. And so then you're kind of like trying to skip back to rewind, but at the same time you're trying to do your cut. And so you just end up in this halfway house. Like, I don't know about you, but I find things like this that you just want to work and they don't work, or they work enough of the time that it's like useful sometimes, but not enough of the time that it's reliable. That is like the sweet spot of fucking annoying. It's just like, yeah, it's like when you've got internet, kind of works enough that you can download a page or 2, but you try and send an email and it's not sending, or you try and load this website and it's not loading. And it's like, if you had no internet, you just go and read a book. But the fact that you've got it, you keep trying. And I feel like that with these. It's like, I keep wearing them, and then I keep getting annoyed that it doesn't work, but then it works, and I'm like, oh, great, it's working. And so sometimes I've found like it just like consistently doesn't work, and then if I take them off and put them in the case, leave them for 10 seconds, take them out again, then maybe it's more reliable. I don't know. I don't have a rhyme or reason. I'm also not hopeful about support. I'll reach out to support and see what they say, but the support that I got last time was a kind of scripted call center where it felt like they went through everything that's on the website, and if you got to the bottom of that, they just replace the device. It doesn't feel like it's that easy to speak to, high-level technical support that might understand the issue or might be able to debug it and figure out what's going on. So, bit of a crap way to end the video, but I thought I had to add this in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. If you've got any opinions on how I may be able to get these work better or anything that I've missed, please do let me know. I respond to all the comments. It's really useful. And if you want to keep a lookout for my next videos, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Thank you.